Seth Rollins just explained why a Shield reunion will never happen. So we'll take a look at what he had to say. We'll also take a look at the big news with Triple H, Mandy Rose, and much more. Let's start things off with the big news for Triple H and the future of WWE. WWE released an official statement introducing their new co-CEOs of Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan. WWE also provided some news about who will take over Vince McMahon's position as the head of WWE Creative. They officially confirmed that Triple H will now lead WWE Creative, on top of continuing all his prior duties in the company. Hearing that Triple H will be in full control of all things WWE Creative was something that really has fans excited. Everyone saw what Triple H created when he was given a bit of power with NXT over the years, and that gave everyone a great sample size of what a Triple H-led show would look like. And as soon as Triple H took a break from NXT and Vince McMahon took over the show, some fans claimed that there was a big change in the show's quality. So now, Triple H is in full control and has Vince's old role of having the final say about anything the writers and creative team comes up with. Like Karrion Kross was talking about a few weeks ago, he said that the writers aren't the problem and how they actually have a lot of good ideas. The problem was that they never got to see those great ideas from the writers because Vince McMahon vetoed those ideas, and no one could fight for him on that since he has the final say after all. Well, now, the final say will lie in Triple H's lap. He'll have all the power on ideas, and if it will make it to WWE television, or turn it down if he doesn't like it. So it's probably not going to be this massive overnight change that you would notice right away. It'll probably take a bit of transition period for Triple H to slowly morph the product into his own vision. But it's exciting to know that this change is in the air, and there'll be a new lead in the creative room. Maybe seeing Triple H lead the team will inspire the writers and spark some new life into them. WWE did provide a small update on the Vince McMahon investigation as well. WWE said that Vince McMahon did in fact pay out $14.6 million in unreported expenses since 2006. WWE noted that the investigation on if this unreported money was given to former female employees who had personal relationships with Vince McMahon is still underway. So WWE did confirm that Vince McMahon did in fact use all that unreported money, but they're still in the process of figuring out who that money was paid out to, and they're continuing to look into all the allegations and investigations. So that's the latest there with the new direction for WWE's front office operations. Lots of old names are rumored to be going out the door and being replaced. So we'll have to wait and see how this transition period continues to unfold for WWE. Mandy Rose has undoubtedly taken her career to whole new levels with her second NXT run. Mandy started making her first appearance on WWE programming through the 2015 season of Tough Enough. Mandy didn't win that competition and the opportunity to become a WWE superstar, but it looks like WWE liked what they saw so much that they offered Mandy a deal, even though she lost the competition. Mandy would quickly rise up the ranks in NXT before being called up with Sonya Deville to join Paige on the main roster and form Absolution. Following Paige's retirement, Mandy and Sonya Deville formed their own tag team called Fire and Desire. Mandy would then have her big storyline with Otis and Sonya Deville before getting lost in the shuffle a bit after that story concluded. WWE called Mandy up about a potential return to NXT, and it ended up being the greatest move of her career. A great faction was formed around Mandy Rose, and she's having one of the longest and greatest runs as NXT Women's Champion that we've seen in a while. She'll be nearing 300 days as a champion in the matter of a few weeks, and has truly established herself as the biggest star in the NXT Women's division. But the interesting part is, of course, what will happen to Mandy Rose following her dropping the NXT Women's title. Mandy will eventually lose the NXT Women's title to any one of the younger talents on the NXT Women's roster, and it'll really help to establish that young star. They were the one to finally beat Mandy Rose. But what would happen to Mandy Rose herself? Mandy recently spoke on the After the Bell podcast and had this to say about a potential return to the WWE main roster. Quote, 100%, I'm definitely enjoying my time in NXT. But at the end of the day, of course, I want to be back on Raw or SmackDown. I think I will be, and I think people better show some respect and show what I've accomplished at this point. Whether it's defending my NXT Women's title, or whether I'm back up there trying to get the Raw Women's Championship, or the SmackDown Women's Championship." End quote. So Mandy Rose is definitely right. Her first call-up was special, but she was pretty new to WWE. Now with her second call-up to the main roster, and considering everything she did in NXT over the last year, it's really going to feel like a big deal when she comes back to Raw or SmackDown. Mandy should definitely come back to Raw and SmackDown as a main event star, and obviously a big threat to the reigning defending champions. So if the Raw and SmackDown women's division ever start seriously thinning out, Mandy Rose will definitely lift whatever show she comes to. The Shield was not only one of the greatest factions in recent WWE history, but a majority of fans rank them as one of the greatest factions of all time. Roman, Seth, and Moxley arrived on the WWE scene in late 2012 as this group of enforcers that stood for justice, known as the Shield. It looked like they were under control of Paul Heyman and CM Punk towards the start, but they eventually broke away and started doing their own thing and capturing WWE titles. They had the emotional breakup in 2014 after Seth Rollins turned heel on the group. Then in 2016, there was a night there where all three former Shield members held the WWE Championship. So that was quite the visual as well. Then in 2019, WWE had made it public news that Jon Moxley was not signing a new deal and will be leaving WWE. So WWE put the Shield together for one last farewell run, and it was over once Moxley left for AEW. Seth Rollins was recently asked by Digital Spy if we'll ever see another Shield reunion, and he had this to say, quote, "I can say that, and maybe this might come back to bite me at some point, but I just don't think you're ever going to see the three of us team up ever again. It wouldn't look the way you want it to look. It wouldn't be like the old days in the Shield. It would be a different animal. I think we're just two big stars with two big personalities at this point. We needed each other back then, and now none of us need the other one. We're at the point where we're all standalone stars on different levels. So to have to kind of minimize that to fit into each other's molds, I just don't see it ever happening again. I think it would look a whole lot different than the next time you see us together. The next time you see us together, it's going to be when we're inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's going to be it." End quote. Seth Rollins definitely has a point. All three men are massive stars with huge personalities right now. So if they're ever going to get back together, all three of them will basically have to sacrifice a part of their personalities and take a back seat for each other. So Seth does have a great point about that. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.